Flosstube community, welcome back to my channel. I am Lauren, which you will already know if you are returning. I'm also known as Cross Stitch Bunny if you follow me over on Instagram, like the same name as my channel has here. If you are new and you've only just found me, then welcome. It's really nice to have you here. I hope that you enjoy this video and my others if you choose to go back and watch some of those. My channel is all about cross stitching. I may occasionally mention a few other crafty bits, but not really, because cross stitching is pretty much all that I do. So yes, just lots of cross stitching stuff here. So life updates, I will just launch straight in. Today is my birthday and it's been awful so far. I'm not gonna lie, everything that could have possibly gone wrong has gone wrong, so I'm feeling quite sorry for myself. All the plans that we had, my other half was going to take me out this afternoon for a nice lunch, like we'd arranged childcare for the kids, and then in the last sort of 48 hours everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. So I've picked up an infection which started making me feel ill over the weekend a little bit, but it really kicked in last night, and that's when I realised there was a problem. It was a Sunday, of course, so I couldn't get a prescription anywhere for antibiotics. Everywhere was closed, and I have managed to get a doctor's appointment this morning, so got that sorted, got a prescription, and then on my way home from collecting it, and my car ran a flat about 100 metres away from my front door, like my house was in sight down the street, so I sort of put my hazards on and limped home at an absolute crawl. Managed to get onto my driveway, but then my locking wheel nuts are missing. Don't know where they've gone. The last time they were seen is when a guy came out like probably 2 months ago to like realign all my tires or something. They did that on the driveway, and it should be in a specific place in the boot of my car. It's not there, so I am stuck with no car today. Yeah, so I mean, we had scrapped our plans to go out anyway because I'm just not feeling up to it. I'm not feeling well. My toddler decided to give us about 2.5 to 3 hours broken sleep last night. That is no exaggeration. He's just been a complete night owl at the moment. So just that teamed with me being ill, I am completely done. I thought about not even bothering to film my Flosstube today, but thought it may distract me from how sorry for myself I'm feeling. So yes, that is my not so upbeat life update. It's all a bit rubbish. Hopefully we manage to get a new tyre on this car before the end of today, otherwise it's going to cause all sorts of problems tomorrow for taking children to nursery and picking up and all those kind of things. But at the moment I'm just letting my other half worry about that, and thought I would just take half an hour to film this and distract myself a bit. Also, like, not a life update, but just I'm sure that everyone is very aware and following the situation in Ukraine at the moment with interest. I do have a particularly close interest in what is going on. I'm extremely saddened and upset by the whole situation because I am Ukrainian on my dad's side. My dad was born here, but his dad was not. My granddad came here after World War II, after fighting with the British and other Allied forces. Met my grandma, settled down, and has been here ever since. But there is a large part of our family that is over there. So yeah, obviously it's very worrying, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because everyone knows what's going on. But yeah, myself and my family are just finding all of that quite upsetting, and my thoughts are with everyone that is affected by that currently. It's very sad. Sorry about that. I'm sure that everyone can understand that it's just a horrible situation for everyone that's involved, and everyone that's watching and feeling quite helpless, as I'm sure we all are. I will get on with the stitching now, but I will touch a little bit more on Stitch for Ukraine, which is a hashtag that I believe that Laura, another Flosstuber, has coined and created, and I will be using that soon. I have started a project that I am stitching on for Ukraine, so I will touch on that when I look at my new starts, but I will try and do my stitching in the same sort of order as usual. So starting with new starts, I have had 3 new starts this month. I have started like a Valentine's-y sort of themed stitch, which I will show you first. So that is this one, and this is by Cuore El Baticore. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but I'm sure you know who I mean. They seem to be very popular, got some beautiful patterns. Do stock some of their patterns in my own shop, including this one, which is called it's like Springtime Love, Primavera d'Amore, I think this is called. Yeah, but like Springtime Love. I will pop up a picture of what this will look like. It is quite a big design, as you can see from all the spare fabric I've got here. It is all in DMC, and I am stitching this on like a 14 count, just like beige Ada. It is stitching up really nicely. It's an absolute joy to work on, is this, and I started this thing on the 12th of February. Was feeling very Valentine's-y at that point, and yeah, I was just inspired to pick this up and have a new start. I changed up my WIPGO board a bit this month after doing my initial month of January WIPGO. I realised that some of my goals were maybe a little bit ambitious, and then others were just, I don't know, like even though it's only been a month, and like it had only been like a month since I planned out my board at the beginning of January, I just realised that maybe I had thrown together my board quite quickly, not thought it through as much as I would have liked to, and there were already things that I knew I wanted to be on there that just weren't on there, this being one of them. So yeah, I will show you my WIPGO board changes really quickly. I'll just put those up now rather than coming back to it again later. So this was my original WIPGO plan, and then this is my updated plan. So what I've basically done is swap out the middle row of numbers 11 to 15. I've just completely redone that row, which meant taking off my full coverage Heaven and Earth design, which featured on my WIPGO board 4 times, and I decided to take off 2 of those, so it's only on there twice now. And I'm really glad I did, because it was called for February and I've still not made much progress on it, and then it has been recalled for March. So I think that is more than enough of that for me to be getting on with, and I think I would just feel disheartened if it was called a 3rd time. Like a little bit more variety on that. So yeah, I've swapped out that entire middle row, and then I think it was also just like number 3 that I swapped out, which number 3 is now this, and my aim on it is 10 hours, and I'm pretty much already there, even though it's not been called, because I just couldn't put it down. So when this is called, I will probably by then just be able to tick it off straight away. My second new start, which I actually started before that one, because I'm not doing these in order, I'm a bit unorganised today, but my second new start was this kit from Design Works, and it is an alphabet, like a children's alphabet, I guess. And this is what I have done so far. So I have done the alligator and the letter A. So yeah, just letter A so far. This I have also added to my WIPGO board with those amendments. Again, it's not been called for yet, although I've started it, but my goal for this is to do letters A to H. So yes, I've made a little start on that, but I'm not sure I'll pick this up again till it is actually called. I just wanted to get it started. This is a kit from Design Works, so this is what it will look like when it's all done. It's a beautiful and fun kids alphabet. This one's going to be for my little boy, and this is just on 14 count Ada. I'm not sure what threads are in the kit. It doesn't say offhand on the front, and I don't think inside they don't give any colour codes. They just like have their own codes or symbols. So yeah, I'm not sure what threads I'm stitching this with. I'm just stitching what it came with in the kit. So that is new start number 2. My third new start is my Stitch for Ukraine piece. Now, if you have watched a lot of my previous Flosstubes, I did mention that for my birthday, which it is today, I wanted a really specific new start for my birthday, which was going to be a piece from an old American magazine that was published in the year of my birth, and that just hasn't happened because I was planning on starting to stitch that today, and then with everything that has been going on, people are trying to stitch to show solidarity. That felt just more appropriate for me at this time, so I decided to make a start instead on, just find it's on the floor here because I have been working on it this morning, this little design here. So this particular design is a chart that is available for free online at the moment, and the idea is it's called the Ukraine Solidarity Stitch Along. It was created by Anthony Galbraith at onepointmind.com. I saw it on Facebook and just followed the link from there, but I will post the link below. Now, I have seen again Laura, who I mentioned previously, another Flosstuber and Instagrammer, has compiled a lovely list of loads of Ukrainian designers on Etsy, encouraging people to buy their patterns and support them that way by sending them money. I know the banking system over there, there's concerns about that at the moment, but with the Etsy purchases, even if those people are not getting access to those funds immediately, although I've seen some designers saying on Instagram how thankful they are for all the current interest in the pattern. So I think some of them have confirmed that they have been able to draw that money down, but either way, whether it's they're waiting for them when they can access it or they're able to get it immediately, I think that it's a great way to show support is to shop with them. There's some beautiful patterns. I will put a link to Laura's document that she, I believe, is constantly updating and adding new designers to. But for the stitching that I wanted to do for Ukraine, I wanted to stitch something that was actually aesthetically very obviously Ukrainian to me. My grandfather was a tailor primarily. My Ukrainian grandfather was a tailor before he was a soldier, and there was quite a lot of embroidery also in his things, and in his house and my grandma there were certain things that had been embroidered, I think by his female relatives or maybe by him, I'm not sure, I wish I knew, but they were all very distinctive Ukrainian embroidery on things like tablecloths or some clothes, some traditional dress wear. And this particular pattern that has been designed reminds me a lot of those in terms of the symbols and the colours. So yes, for me, I will definitely be having a look on that Etsy list and hopefully doing some shopping. Quite a lot of those Ukrainian designers are already in my favourite stores. I already have patterns by them saved into my favourites list, so I will definitely be doing some shopping over the coming weeks on there. But I just wanted to stitch something that was very visually representative of Ukraine to me, and this pattern has a lot of meaning behind it. It's only small, I think it's 56 by 56, pretty much full coverage, except the white in the pattern is actually negative space on the design, but I've chosen that I am going to stitch that when I get to it in white. But I will pop up a picture so you can see the completed design, and if you go to the link, which I will link below, it explains all the symbolism and all the colour choices in the pattern and why they've been chosen, and they all have very specific meaning in relation to Ukraine. So that is why I've chosen to stitch this, and this will be the piece that I am stitching under that hashtag that Laura has created, which is the Stitch for Ukraine. If any of you decide to join in as well, I don't think this will take very long to stitch, although I'm not bothered about how long it takes, but it is only a small design and it is a lovely one. Yeah, please do join in if you do have the time. It's only 5 or 6 colours, and I think it is just a meaningful pattern. So that is all 3 of my new starts. In relation to WIPGO, my February calls on WIPGO for last month were my were they? I'm looking now, I'm just going blank. Yes, my Happy Winter piece with the elephant was called for another 5,000 stitches, and my Heaven and Earth design got called for the first time for 5,520 stitches. I have not even got close to achieving either of those things this month, but I will show you what I have done. So this is my progress on my full coverage Heaven and Earth design. I'm still in that top corner. It's going slowly, and I did have a bit of a nightmare with this because quite a lot of the thread in this, in fact the thread number with the thread code with the highest number of stitches on the whole design is actually designed to be stitched in metallic, and it was supposed to be stitched in, I think it's number 32 pearl Krynic, which I couldn't find anywhere. I definitely couldn't find it in the quantity that I needed. I needed like 8 spools of it or something like that. It might have even been a few more, and I just couldn't find it, not in those quantities. And so I instead bought an Anchor metallic, which I hadn't seen before. I didn't even know that Anchor did metallics. I've not got one here to hand, but they come on like a spool that looks more like a sewing spool, rather than like a skinny long bobbin or like in a skein. They just come on like what looks like a sewing bobbin, as I think of them. And when I started stitching on it, see, I'm stitching this 1/1 with like the standard threads. I'm doing 1/1 on 25 count, and as soon as I took some of that metallic off the anchor spool, I realized it is very thick. Like one strand really is easily equal to 2 strands. So I didn't really know what to do because I've bought so much of it that I wanted to be able to use it, and it is like a really good colour for the areas that I'm trying to use it for. I did start stitching in it with 1/1, but it is just so thick that I was doing full crosses, and I did maybe like an area of like 30 stitches in a block and just realised it was looking terrible, like compared to the rest of what I've done so far here. It just looked bulky, and it was all just sticking up, and it just looked a mess, and I couldn't get the stitches to lay flat. It was just too bulky for the 25 count. So I decided to unpick it all, which took me a horrendously long amount of time to do. Like unpicking metallic thread is definitely the worst thing that I've ever had to do in terms of frogging. It was just absolutely awful. Yeah, and I just kind of lost my mojo for this after unpicking that. So I put it down. I've put a couple of 100 stitches into it rather than the over 5,000 I was aiming for. And it's been called again for March. So I'm now like, I've got like 10,500 stitches to go to put into this to catch up with my WIPGO, and I'm in no rush to do it. If I do it by the end of the year, I will be happy. I'm just having to have a real rethink on what I want to do with those problematic areas. I've got a couple of options. I could either swap out to just doing them in like standard white normal thread, but that would kind of mean it wasn't sparkly, which I really wanted it to be. The other option, I thought that I could try using the anchor that I have got, but just stitch that in tent stitch. So 1/1, but in tent, because it's so thick, it would really be like doing 2/1 tent stitch if I was using the normal thread. So I think that might be what I try next. I'm just worried about how it will look with the rest of it being in full cross and then just doing tent for that one colour. I don't know, but I think I'm going to give that a try and see what happens. I can always frog it again, I guess, if it doesn't work. So my other call, oh, an alarm going off there. I don't know if you can hear that. Stop. My other piece was my winter elephant, so I'll just find that in this horrendously unorganised pile. And back. Sorry, this took me a while to find. So this is my winter elephant. It is terribly creased. It has been in and out of the frame in a few different ways, I guess. I've just popped a grey pillow behind this because I've noticed on my previous floss tubes when I've shown this, you just can't see it very well. I think now you can actually see it a bit better. So this is my happy winter elephant. You probably can't see a massive difference since I showed it on my last floss tube, but this was called again for another 5,000 stitches. I've not done anywhere near that, but I have put in probably about another 1,000, maybe like 1,200 since I showed it last time. So we'll pop up a comparison photo, and it's mostly up here that I've been working, like extending up to this sort of trunk area. So it doesn't look like a huge difference, but I've actually made some decent progress on this, and I'm happy with what I've done. So yeah, I'll pop up a picture also of what this will look like. This is a really lovely design. I'll pop the designer details below. So that was my winter elephant. I just had to cut that ever so slightly short because I had a car update from the other half. Not good, but won't go into that. But yes, that was my winter elephant. I think I'd said everything about it that I wanted to. I'm stitching that on 14 count grey Ada, and yeah, it's coming along nicely. I'm sure I'll catch up with that WIPGO goal eventually. I was quite pleased just to get like over 1,000 in, even though it was nowhere near my goal for February, just because it was called in Jan and I did the 5,000 in Jan, and it was a bit overwhelming trying to do another 5,000 grey on grey stitches the next month straight away. I was hoping for a bit more of a break before that one got called again, but I will get back to it and try and catch up with that goal. Don't know about anyone else that's doing WIPGO, but I'm just trying to treat it as like an overall year's goal, and there's some things that I'm close to crossing off or ready to cross off already that haven't actually been called. So like overall, if I'm hitting near to 2 goals or 2 goals a month, despite the fact they might not have been called, I think, you know, that tells me that I'm hopefully on track to cross it all off by the end of the year, if I can just try and stick to doing 2 goals a month. This next piece is not on my WIPGO board, but this is another of the WIPs I've worked on this month. So this is my oldest WIP, my Love Sampler. If you look at the comparison photo from last time, I've just done a little more work around the bottom and backstitched this lettering. I'm pretty sure that I hadn't done that backstitch the last time I showed this to you. So yeah, just plugging away at this one slowly. It's not my favourite. I don't dislike it, but it doesn't massively excite me. I will be happy when it's all finished. I will mention the details of the pattern below because they're completely not in my head right now. But yeah, so I've done a little bit of work on this. This is being stitched in all the called for DMC colours on 14 count white. Not much else to say about this one really. This was on my WIPGO board as number 3 for a finish, but because I just don't feel that inspired by it, I actually switched it out for that Valentine stitch that I showed you. So that's not on my WIPGO board at the moment. It is just something that I'm going to be plugging away at in the background. My next one is my Bothy Love Autumn Tree. I have done a lot more of the trunk on this in this silver metallic, and started a little bit of the brown. It is like at the base of the tree. It doesn't look like a lot of work on this, but a good couple of hours have gone into this month, just all in that silver really. So yeah, not exciting progress, but progress nonetheless. And this is a kit, a Bothy kit that you may well recognise. Again, it's on 14 count, and it is just the plain white Ada that comes with this particular kit. I have 2 more WIPs to show you that I've worked on this month. I think that's like 9 pieces that I will have shown you. So I managed to work on 9 projects this month. and it is my Bothy Dictionary of Tea teapots piece. So the last time I showed you this, I had been stitching it as part of my WIPGO. This was a called for WIPGO goal in January for me, and I managed to do like 75% of that goal. My goal was to stitch 4 teapots. I started with 1, so I needed 5 completed teapots to hit my WIPGO target, and within the month of January I managed to do these 3, but not the 4th one, and I have managed to complete that now. So that is my Calamity teapot, which if you follow me on Instagram you will have already seen. I did post it there when I'd finished it. So very pleased with this. This is nice and green now on my WIPGO board. I've been able to mark it off as done, and yeah, I have this on my WIPGO board one more time, but as of yet that's not called for, and I probably won't pick this up again until it is called for. I just picked it up in February, really wanting to just finish that goal and box off that January goal because I was a bit behind on it. But now that that's finished, this will probably just hide away in my WIP pile until it's actually called for again. The last thing that I have to show you in terms of WIPs is my Wise Old Owl. I was really hoping that I would be showing this today as a finish. I am not, as is obvious. There is like 1.5 owls still missing. Like this one here just has the outline of his head, and this square here remains to be stitched, but I have completed the entire border now. It is a bit creased, I'm sorry about that. I finished the entire border, so it reads, "A wise old owl lived in an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke." This has been very enjoyable. This is the piece of stitching that I took to the hospital with me when my little girl went in for her operation. Didn't get much done on it. I did a little bit while I was waiting for her to come out of her operation and out of recovery, but I was quite distracted, so I didn't really end up stitching a lot. But I did take it with me and do a little bit, and then I had been trying to finish this. I think this is the first Flosstube video I have put out where I have not had a single finish to show, but I just didn't quite manage it, and I'm pretty sure, again, this isn't on my WIPGO, this is just one that I'm trying to do in the background. There's not much left on it now. I hope that this will be finished at some point in March. This is from the Historical Sampler Company, Wise Old Owl. It is a kit, and I'm just stitching it with all the supplied kit materials on the supplied Ada, which is a 14 count, like pale creamy beige. So that is all of my WIPs. As I said, I don't have any finishers or FFOs to show you at all this month. It's not been a finishing month. I've just been doing bits of stitching when I can. I've not stitched as much as I usually would. It's been a shorter month, a lot going on. As I previously mentioned, we welcomed new puppies safely into the world, so that's a bit of a nicer, more positive life update than what I started with. Maybe I should have led with that, but we have welcomed some beautiful new puppies. I will pop a few pictures in if you are interested to see them. I might try and show you them in my next Flosstube, actually in real time as it were, because they will definitely be super adorable at that point, and a lot more on their feet. Their eyes are open now and they are finding their feet. They're still very shaky on their feet, very small, and just starting to explore a bit more really, but in a few more weeks time, when they are going to be approaching the age that they'll be ready to leave us, by the time I film my next Flosstube, they probably only have a few weeks left with us, and I will try and get some puppy spam cuteness to share with you because they are adorable. Also just on the topic of positive news, my daughter's operation was a complete success, went really well, and she's been recovering really well. Everything's healed up nicely, and the main problem that we've had since she came home is trying to keep her calm, because in herself she feels absolutely brilliant and raring to go. So yeah, the main problem has actually been trying to keep her calm, which I guess is a much nicer problem to have than her being in discomfort or in pain. So that has been a challenge, but also really good news, which is much needed right now, some good news. In terms of other stitchy stuff to show you, I do have a little bit of haul, which is mostly birthday presents, and I'm just going to go and grab those quickly and come back because I have left them in the other room, so I will be right back. My lovely mum and dad got me 2 stitchy related birthday presents. The first one is this sampler book by Susan Bates, who I have mentioned before. She designs some really beautiful patterns that regularly feature in the cross stitching magazines. I have stitched her jars that everyone seemed to love, that I finished them in my last month's Flosstube. I think that's when I showed the finish last month. And there's lots of other designs of hers from magazines that are on my bookmark list, and she also uploads quite a lot of them to her Etsy store. I know that my jars that I stitched, the memory jars, are now on her Etsy store, as are the festive Christmas version of the jars, which I already have in the magazine, but they are available now as an individual PDF on her Etsy. I'm seriously considering doing those, not immediately, but maybe starting them at some point soon, like maybe starting them as a jolly July start. Not sure if anyone else is thinking that far ahead, but I was seriously considering kind of bookmarking her festive jars to stitch for Jolly July, at least make a start, and maybe see if anyone wants to do them as a stitch along, but maybe I'll broach that topic a bit nearer the time. But please, if anyone would be interested in potentially doing that, let me know. It's definitely something that I have thought about suggesting. But back to the book. This sampler book I have wanted for a while. I knew it was out there. Just turn it over. There's a lot of really lovely patterns in it. This is not all the patterns that are inside it. There is a beautiful like marine fish inspired sampler pattern, and quite a few others that are not shown on the cover or the reverse here, but you can get a good idea of the sort of things that are inside it. And it is a sampler book, so every pattern in the book is made up of loads of little individual motifs that form one larger pattern if you want to stitch them that way, or you can just take them as individual bits and stitch smaller things. And I expect that I'm going to be doing a mix of the two, so there are a couple of designs within it, if I can just find them quickly, that I do want to stitch as the full sampler. This is one of them. So this is like the beachy inspired pattern, and that is the stitched model there. So this is all, that's going to focus, this is all based on going to the beach, and I think that's a particularly lovely one. And then kind of along the same lines is this marine sea life pattern that I absolutely love. Again, it's the stitched model there. And I would really like to stitch those two in their entirety. And the little birds one, which was featured on the back, is another one that I would love to stitch in its entirety. And then there's quite a few others that I may stitch in their entirety at some point, or I may just take like individual motifs from. But yes, a really lovely book, and it was quite hard to find this. I'm not sure if it is actually still in print or it's out of print. I know that when I was telling my mum that I'd really like this for my birthday, the only links that I could find to show it to her were secondhand ones. So this is a pre-owned copy that she ended up buying me, but it is, I'm pleased to say, absolutely immaculate, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get loads of hours of stitching out of this book. My second bit of haul, which I absolutely love, again was from my parents, and is this beautiful sewing box. So yes, it is like appliqued owls on the top with little buttons and it's got the carry handles, whoops, that you can see there for carrying it around. It's a nice size, and these flip up. You've got like little elasticated storage on both sides and a pincushion on that side, and then there is this little plastic tray that's divided that just comes out to be a big open space in the bottom. This is by Hobby Gift, and I know some of you may have seen other Hobby Gift boxes. I know I've seen the beehive style box that they do on quite a few people's Flosstubes or Instagrams. I think I've seen that on Teresa Little Stitch's Flosstube for sure, and possibly some others, but I've definitely seen quite a few people share the beehive box on Instagram. Like, these Hobby Gift boxes are lovely, and I did really like the beehive box, but that is the one I think that has all the drawers in it, and I just wanted something that was this style, and these owls I absolutely loved. So yes, thank you Mum and Dad for both of those gifts, which will be put to good use, I'm sure. I think that is everything for me today. I'll just do my mental checklist. We've talked about WIPGO. I have shown you all my WIPs. Don't have any finishers. We've gone through new starts, and that is haul. So yes, I think that is everything for today. Yeah, there's nothing else. Hopefully this video will be a little bit shorter than my last one, which did run on somewhat. I am not sure whether I will get a chance to edit and upload today, possibly tomorrow, so maybe the 1st of March when you're watching this. It may be the 28th of Feb if I actually manage to get it uploaded today. Either way, I hope that you enjoy looking at the stitchy bits that I have managed to do this month. I think next month I'll probably have a couple of finishes to show you, or at least one. I'm really hoping that my owls will be finished, and I expect that my Stitch for Ukraine piece will also be finished because it's not very big, and I really just feel obviously very inspired to pick up and stitch on that right now. I hope some of you may consider joining that stitch along if you like the pattern. Like I said, it is linked below. It's not my pattern, it's not my stitch along, but it would be great if other people wanted to stitch it too. It'd be lovely to see some other people stitching that. Likewise, I will be following that Stitch with Stitch for Ukraine tag that Laura has created, and look forward to seeing all the other patterns that people are currently starting or stitching by Ukrainian designers. And yeah, I would just like to end really with another message of support for all the Ukrainian members of our stitching community. I think that like everyone is unanimously behind you and wish that we could do more in a physical sense. I hope to see you all next month at the end of March. I may, if I get the chance, do more of a mid-month update in March. That is something that I did want to start trying to do. I hope to be able to do that in March if possible, but either way I would definitely have my end of March like monthly roundup of stitching at the end of the month, and I will try and squeeze in a mid-month extra Flosstube if I possibly can, because I did want to try and start splitting my videos so that they're not quite as long and do 2 a month instead of 1, but I will see if I get round to it. We all know how life can get in the way of the best laid plans. So goodbye to you all for now, and I will hopefully see you next month. Please like this video, subscribe if you want to see my next one, and hit the bell if you want to be notified. And everybody take care. Goodbye.